There are two kinds of crying you've known in your life. The first kind is the movie kind. Tears that come, spill over, and then stop. You cry. You breathe. You wipe your face. You feel lighter. The second kind is this. The tears that don't really end. They might pause. They might dry up for a few hours because your body is exhausted. But they are never far away. One thought, one smell, one memory, one song, and they are back. Hot, sudden, relentless. It feels like your eyes have turned into a second heartbeat. Always there. Always ready. Always threatening to break open without warning. You didn't know grief could turn you into a person who cries like this. Maybe you weren't a crier before. Maybe you're the one who stayed composed, who held it together for others, who only broke down in private, if at all. Now the rules are different. You can cry in supermarkets when you see their favorite food. You can cry in the car when a random song catches you off guard. You can cry in the shower where you don't have to see your own face. You can cry in bed, staring at the ceiling, quietly soaking the pillow so you don't wake anyone else. And at Christmas, the tears find new ways to come. They start when you see their ornament in the box. They start when you realize their name isn't on the gift list. They start when someone says, "Everyone's here, right?" And your mind screams, "No, no, they're not." They start when you hear a carol they loved, or hated, or used to make fun of. The tears that never stop have different flavors. Some are sharp and clean, sliding down your face as you think of a specific moment. A laugh, a look, a Christmas you didn't know was the last one. Some are heavy and slow, coming from a place deeper than thought, like your body is leaking from where it's been cracked open. Some are angry, burning, full of the words you can't say out loud. Why did you leave? Why did this happen? Why wasn't there more time? Why did I say that? Why didn't I say more? Some are almost silent. Your eyes sting, your throat tightens, your chest trembles, but no sound comes out. The tears simply fall while you stand there doing something ordinary, washing dishes, folding clothes, wrapping gifts, and you hope nobody notices. People around you have ideas about your tears. Some think you're not coping. Some think you're being strong because they never see you cry. They don't know you wait until you're alone. Some think, quietly, it's been a while now. Shouldn't they be crying less? They may not say it, but you feel it. The pressure of other people's timelines. The first weeks, tears are expected. The first months, tears are understood. After that, people start to look uncertain. They don't know what to do with a grief that doesn't follow the film script. A grief that hasn't neatly moved from sobbing to acceptance. You know they're tired of the subject. You know some of them change the topic when your eyes start to gloss over. You know some of them say they wouldn't want you to be so sad, as if that should turn off the tap. But what are you supposed to do with a love that has nowhere to go? The tears are not random. They are the overflow. When they were alive, your love for them had somewhere to land, on their shoulder, in their inbox, on their phone, in their hands when you hugged them. Now that they are gone, the love doesn't vanish. It piles up inside you. It turns into memories. It turns into questions. It turns into regrets. It turns into all the "I wish" sentences that have nowhere to finish. And then, when there is too much, your body does the only thing it knows how to do. It lets some of it escape through your eyes. At Christmas, there is more pressure in the system. Everywhere you look, the world is shouting togetherness. Family photos, Christmas ads, films where problems are solved in 90 minutes with soft lighting and background music. Songs about home, peace, joy. You are supposed to feel grateful. You are supposed to feel festive. You are supposed to be in the spirit. Instead, you feel like you are leaking. You might cry because you're lonely in a room full of people. You might cry because you are actually alone and the silence is too loud. You might cry because you see someone else getting the moment you wanted, a parent hugging a child, a couple exchanging a look, a group laughing together, and your chest feels like a fist. You might cry because you feel guilty for crying, because somewhere inside you, Two sentences are crashing into each other. I should be thankful for what I still have. I can't stop hurting over what I lost. The tears that never stop are not just about the day they died. They are about all the days that followed and all the days that didn't happen. Every Christmas they miss. Every milestone they don't see. Every moment you reach instinctively for your phone to tell them something, and then remember you can't. The tears are not a single event. They are a long echo. Sometimes you wonder if they will ever run out. How can one person cry this much? How is there still water left in me? Will there be a day when I can think of them and not feel this immediate sting? You think maybe you're broken. Maybe you're stuck in grief. Maybe you're failing at whatever moving on is supposed to look like. But grief doesn't have a stopwatch. It has a relationship. If they were woven into your life deeply enough, it makes sense that their absence tears through multiple layers. Memory, identity, daily routine, future plans. And every time you brush against one of those layers, the wound reopens a little. Christmas brushes against all of them at once. Memory, last year, they were here. Identity. Who am I now if I'm not their child, partner, friend, caregiver in the same way? Routine, they always did this part. They always sat there. Future, we were supposed to have so many more of these together. No wonder the tears are intense. No wonder they feel endless when the whole season is a mirror. You might try to control them. You might tell yourself, I'll cry later, not now. You might dig your nails into your palm under the table to stop your face from crumpling. You might excuse yourself to the bathroom and stare into the mirror, ordering your reflection to pull it together. Sometimes it works, on the outside. Inside, the river is still rising. You worry about making other people uncomfortable. You worry about ruining the day. You worry that if you really let yourself go, you won't be able to stop. That last fear can be very real. There are breakdowns you can't schedule. Times when the tears arrive not as a trickle, but as a wave. You fold, you sob, you make strange, broken sounds you didn't know you were capable of. You clutch at the air or a cushion or your own clothes because your body is trying to hold on to something that isn't there. And afterwards, you feel wrung out, embarrassed maybe, ashamed even. You tell yourself, that was too much. You tell yourself, I shouldn't fall apart like that. You tell yourself, if anyone saw me like this, they'd think I'd lost my mind. But your tears are not madness. They're proportionate to the earthquake that went through your life. When the foundation of a building cracks, dust doesn't politely fall in a neat line. It collapses, it spills, it makes a mess. Why would your heart be any different? There's another layer of pain that is harder to admit. Sometimes the tears don't come when you think they should. You stand at the grave and feel nothing. You sit at the Christmas table and manage the whole meal dry-eyed. You talk about them and your voice stays level. Later, alone, you crack because you think, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I cry then? Why am I crying now over something small and stupid? This too is normal. Your mind and body do not synchronize perfectly. Sometimes your system goes numb in the big moments, frozen to get you through. Then, when it feels even slightly safer, the tears finally arrive. At 3 a.m, halfway through washing dishes, while wrapping a present. You are not heartless when you don't cry. You are not weak when you do. The tears that never stop can also make you feel isolated. You look around and see people functioning, going to work, shopping, posting cheerful photos, complaining about minor inconveniences. You wonder, is anyone else this close to breaking all the time? The answer is yes, but you might not see them, because they've learned to cry in bathrooms and cars and late at night, because they too are afraid of making others uncomfortable, because they've been told, directly or indirectly, that their tears have an expiry date. You are not the only one whose heart throbs in their eyes. There is something else underneath your tears that deserves attention: fear. Sometimes you cry not just because you miss them, but because of what their absence has shown you about everything else. If this could happen to them, it could happen to others you love. If you could lose them overnight, you could lose anyone. If tomorrow wasn't promised for them, it's not promised for you either. Your tears carry that knowledge too. They're not only about the past. They're about the terror of the future. Who will I lose next? Will I ever feel safe again? Will I always be one phone call away from my life splitting open? Your tears are your body's way of saying, this is too much. This is too big. I don't know how to hold all of this. At Christmas, there is very little space for this kind of fear. People tell you to think positively, appreciate what you still have, focus on the joy. You might even say these things to yourself. But grief and fear don't vanish because someone told them they're not festive. They seep out through the one outlet you have left that nobody can argue with, your tears. There is another painful belief hiding behind the tears that never stop. If I stop crying, does it mean I'm letting them go? You might feel, without fully articulating it, that your tears are a form of loyalty. If I keep hurting, it proves how much they mattered. If I keep breaking, it proves I haven't moved on. If I allow myself to feel okay for too long, it feels like betrayal. So even when a day goes by with less crying, you might feel uneasy. Is this wrong? Am I forgetting them? Am I relaxing into a life they're not in? It's a cruel paradox. You long for relief, and you fear it at the same time. The truth is this: your love is not measured by the volume of your tears. Your devotion is not weighed on a scale of how broken you remain. Grief that softens over time doesn't mean you cared less. It means your nervous system is trying, slowly and clumsily, not to drown. Right now, though, that future might feel very far away. You are here, with eyes that feel permanently sore, with a nose that seems always blocked, with a heart that feels like it lives behind your face. So what do you do when the tears never stop? You don't have to turn them into a project. You don't have to force meaning out of every breakdown. You don't have to use your pain in some productive way. Sometimes you simply allow them. You sit on the bathroom floor or the end of your bed or in your parked car, and you cry the kind of cry that has no pretty angle. You let your shoulders shake. You let your breathing go uneven. You let your body show you just how heavy this has been. And while you cry, if you can, you drop the judgment. You don't tell yourself you're pathetic. You don't tell yourself you're weak. You don't compare your grief to anyone else's. You just let the rain come. At Christmas, if the tears hit you at the table, you are allowed to stand up and quietly leave the room without performing. You are allowed to say, I just need a minute, and not explain more. You are allowed to sit in a quiet room for 5 or 10 minutes and let the tears fall. Then, wash your face and return if you want. You are allowed to not return if the weight is too much. Your presence at every moment of every celebration is not an obligation you owe others at the cost of your sanity. You are allowed to build small rituals that give your tears somewhere to go. Lighting a candle at a certain time, going for a walk alone and letting yourself cry outside, sitting in their room or their chair for a few minutes and letting feelings move through you instead of damming them up. None of this fixes the loss. None of it stops the tears forever. But it tells your system there are allowed times and places to feel this, instead of never, which turns into always in ambush. If your tears are truly unmanageable, if you cannot function at all, if every day is nothing but sobbing to the point you cannot eat, sleep, or take care of basic needs, then your mind and body are telling you they need backup. That might be a therapist, a support group, a grief counselor, someone trained whose job is to listen while you pour all of this out. Not because they will say magic words that make you stop crying, but because carrying this much alone is a weight no human being should have to manage in isolation. But even with help, even with time, the truth is, there will probably always be tears. Not every day, not as a flood, but as a language your heart uses sometimes when words are too small. A song on the radio 10 years from now might still make your eyes sting. A Christmas decoration in a shop window might still hit you with a memory so vivid your throat closes. A smell, a phrase, a piece of music, a certain kind of weather might still unlock something. You may cry then too. Softer, maybe, but real. Never stop doesn't have to mean never improve. It can mean This loss mattered enough that my body will always remember it sometimes. The tears that never stop are not your enemy. They are the visible side of an invisible bond. You cry because there was something worth crying over. You cry because love had weight, and when its object disappeared, the weight didn't. You cry because being human means forming attachments we cannot keep forever. This Christmas, if the tears come again and again, and you are tired of wiping your face, tired of apologizing, tired of pretending, you can tell yourself simply, of course I cry. Of course he keeps coming back. Of course this season hurts. It doesn't mean I'm failing. It doesn't mean I'll never laugh again. It doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I loved. It means I lost. It means my heart is still trying in the only way it knows how to live with both of those truths at once.